In the first few moments of Graveyard Keeper, you die. But wait, I thought we were keeping the graves, not using them. Yeah, true, but Graveyard Keeper is a game about getting back to your loved ones from a non-specific afterlife. However, nobody in this town wants to help the main character. In fact, they're torturing him by giving him a day job. But what's his torture is our game, because Graveyard Keeper is a blast to play. I am having so much fun playing it. In fact, I'll lose hours of my life just trying to bury one more body.
You should play Graveyard Keeper if you like any of the following. 1. Making a to-do list. 2. Crossing tasks off that to-do list. 3. A dark sense of humor. 4. Stardew Valley. And 5. The idea of eating human flesh. Yeah, okay. Alright. The story is pretty simple. Guy wants to go home to his girl, but after getting hit by a car is now a graveyard keeper. Of course. So obviously, like any normal person, he gets to work in hopes this will bring him what he wants. And that's why we all keep going to work every day, right? Anyway, being a graveyard keeper consists of more than just tending the graves. A donkey drops off the bodies and you need to play mortician before deciding what to do with them. In the morgue, you can cut them up or embalm them, which can change the quality of the body, which will decide if you want to bury it in the graveyard. Only the best in this graveyard. Otherwise, you'll have to burn the bodies to dispose of them, which gives you ashes, and that can be put in an urn. One benefit is that this takes up a lot less space than a grave. But you know what? Ashes are good to have around for alchemy, and nobody's going to ask where you got those ashes from. So building up your graveyard to be the best takes good bodies and some nice decorations. You'll want some quality headstone and fences to improve a grave's score. It's an interesting system where you only get points after you get out of the red. So a typical body will have 2 red squares and 2 white squares, which means a total of 2 possible points. But you'll need to decorate the grave with 4 points. 2 to cover up the red squares and 2 on the white squares for actual points. You'll want to be picky about which bodies you bury since you can't dig them up without permission and paying. Any rearrangement comes at a real cost. Once the graveyard is all spruced up, you can open the church. Yay! The inside is a crafting station for faith, which is really handy. You give a sermon a week for faith and a bit of coin. It's kind of amazing that the game treats prayer like crafting. The church starts off pretty dingy, and it's yet more work to build up the inside with candles and pews. The point is to decorate it and try and draw in a bigger crowd, especially if you make sure they hit that collection bin on the way out. I think if the game stopped there, it would be a complete experience, but maybe a little short. Of course, that's not the case. The poor guy is just trying to get back home, and there's so much stuff he has to do. You'll need to farm, fish, mine, chop trees, make potions, craft everything, and write books. Seriously, that's all in the game too, which is a bit of a problem because it's difficult to keep track of everything. A typical day goes like this. First, you'll need to gather the crops, then make some iron. Then while that's going, you'll have to go dig a grave, then go back and make some nails. Wait, what the hell were these nails for again? At this point, I completely forget, so I'll store the nails and hopefully I'll remember later. I love it! Just so you can't progress too fast, there is a tech tree. For every action you take in the world, experience drops of 3 types: red, green, and blue. You'll spend the experience to unlock new crafting recipes and abilities. It definitely feels like you're always progressing, even if you're making your 100th wooden plank. However, none of the systems are super deep, but combine everything and it's a lot to handle. The user interface doesn't help either. Some tooltips would go a long way. Letting the player know what something is used for before crafting it would be nice. Like the chisel. What the hell does that do? I played for over 10 hours not needing it, and it's one of the first talents you can unlock. Feels bad I spent those tech tree points unlocking it. Another example is when farming. You have to buy seeds. Oh, okay, no problem. Just head over to the cellar and grab one. Joke's on you though, you need 4 seeds to plant a crop, which isn't stated anywhere until you try and place just the 1 seed in and can't. Are people on a budget not allowed to farm? I was pretty annoyed when I had to go back and buy 3 more seeds of each kind. Also, because there's so many systems, your inventory is going to get out of hand quickly. In most of the spots, there's a storage chest, so you can keep everything close, but not the garden. Hasn't the dev heard of a shed before? You'll have almost a full inventory at all times, and it requires hot swapping items to make room. By the time I reach a place, I'm there for a different reason, and I often forget to put the item I wanted to save there in the chest. For the neat freaks, it can become a lot, having to run around placing everything in the chests it belongs to. It also doesn't help that the amount you craft is always 1 less than what you need. Have to get 5 simple iron parts? Well, those are only made in 3s, so prepare to save the extra. It's not bad though, because nothing goes to waste. You'll be making the same parts for most of the game. Graveyard Keeper does have one good feature that the crafting benches will pull from any nearby chests, which is why having everything in its correct place is so important. Now, what some of the systems lack, the game makes up for in the world or atmosphere. All the people you meet are pretty interesting and are visibly one of the 7 deadly sins. It makes sense everyone has their own personal agenda. They'll continually give you quests that serve their interests without hearing about your problems. The main character goes along with all of this in hopes it will get him a little closer to getting home. Some of the town folks only show up on certain days of the week, and you have to keep it in mind when going to talk to them. It's actually great, because with this many tasks, it provides a deadline and forces you to focus on a task for when that person will be there. Thankfully, the game keeps track of these days the people are available, and also their quests. Although, if you miss any particular part, they won't tell you again, and the quest log is insufficient. It's only just a small bit of task to jog your memory. And while I think that's great, you could potentially miss a small bit of details and get really stuck. The map is also pretty big and has blocked off areas that, of course, you need to clean up before you can access them. But it's worth it, and sectioning off these portions made me even more curious what was there. It left a little bit of mystery in the game. The mystery is strong. There's no obvious path to take through the game. Sure, people will give you quests, but they don't have a deadline. There's no one telling you you have to make sure to open the path north for any reason. Graveyard Keeper, the game, is perfectly happy to let you do whatever you want, up to a point. There's enough freedom that you can feel it, but if you do go against the system too hard, it will kick back. I didn't have any issues progressing the story, and always focused on whatever task I thought I could accomplish with what I had at hand. Other people definitely had trouble with this when they focused on only one element of the game. I appreciate the slight illusion of freedom I had though. I can't have a review without mentioning the graphics. They're so good. The unique design of all the characters is great. The pixel art is very well done. In particular, the weather effects are a highlight. The game has rain, wind, and fog. What the hell would a game about a graveyard be without fog? Each adds atmosphere to the game, and I loved walking out of the house and being pleasantly surprised by the weather. What you have to keep in mind is that when you add wind to a game, you also need to give animation to anything that will be caught in it. It just gives the world so much life. Now, I know that's a lot of time to spend talking about the wind, but when the developer put in the effort on something so small, it's important. It means they cared enough about their game to get those small details right. Overall, even with the small issues, the game is good enough to easily overlook them. I believe the developer will be patching the game and releasing more content. I live to create lists and then cross them off, so Graveyard Keeper is perfect for me. I'm not joking about the lists thing. Perhaps you'll grind, perhaps you'll waste some time, perhaps you'll craft 100 nails. That's just the type of game it is. You'll be crafting and running around a lot. It's similar to Stardew Valley in that it has the same mechanics, but its broader crafting can be overwhelming. Although I don't see it as any more of a grind than that game. If you like those types of games, then you'll probably like Graveyard Keeper too.
Hey, thanks for watching. Click subscribe for more indie game reviews. There's so many more games we need to play.